studio is the Home Secretary, Amber Rudd. Good morning to you. The Prime Minister's standing firm. She won't be taking part in TV debates, but we have seen this argument with Prime Ministers before, and they've always ended up taking part.
Well, you've heard the Prime Minister. It's her choice. She's the Prime Minister. She's going to be out making the case why this Conservative party and this government led by her can have a strong negotiation with the European Union and make the case overall for a good mandate on June the 8th. She's made that decision and it's up to her to do so.
Well, she's made that decision, but as we're learning, she does like a U-turn. 8 times since June of last year, she said no, there will not be a general election. What changed yesterday? Why now?
Well, I think she set it out very clearly in her speech yesterday. What she was focused on is what is in the national interest. And after the experience of triggering Article 50, beginning those discussions with the EU, she looked at the timetable. And the timetable is very specific once you've triggered Article 50. It has to be concluded by the end of 2 years. And by the end of 2 years, we would be the year before a general election, which she concluded would give too much of an upper hand to the European Union. She wants to be negotiating on behalf of the UK to get that best deal from a position of strength where we're not about to face a general election, where we've got a good mandate behind us and we can get the best deal for the UK.
She also talked about ending political game playing and clearing away obstacles. And you could argue that she's actually arguing that arguing against the government is against the national interest, because by clearing away obstacles, it's almost like she's suggesting clearing away a debate and discussion, particularly when it comes to Brexit.
Well, I don't think that's what I don't think that conclusion is right. I think what she's referring to is the fact that most people, even people who voted Remain or campaigned for it last year, as I did, are now taking the approach, let's get on with it, let's leave the European Union, and let's make sure we can get the best deal for the UK. That's what I find when I go out and about around the country or in my constituency. And she wants that to be reflected in Westminster. People will have different views about how to shape the deal, what could be best on this subject or on that subject. But we are leaving the European Union, so let's make sure we get the best hand to be able to have that negotiation and get the best outcome for all parts of the United Kingdom.
And this decision came as shock to quite a few people. Only the Prime Minister's inner circle knew about this. It took most of the Cabinet by surprise. Were you informed? Are you part of this inner circle?
Well, I was informed before the Cabinet, but after the Queen. So I knew a little bit before them, but not that much.
Talk to me about the Conservative manifesto. What's that going to look like? Our economics editor Ed Conway on skynews.com today is describing it as one of the most important manifestos in a generation.
Well, it will be very important. It'll be, a new manifesto for backing Theresa May and her government. It's going to be coming out in due course, and we're working on it at the moment. There will be parts of it from the last manifesto. There'll be parts of it which are entirely new to this proposal, to this new government we hope to form on June the 8th, and we're working on it currently.
So there's going to be parts from the last manifesto. Migration targets reducing to tens of thousands. Will that be in it? The freeze on taxes, the triple lock pension. Will those 3 things be in there?
Well, we're going to be looking at all these different elements, and we'll be coming out with a manifesto in a few weeks. I can't say any more than that about what the precise content will be, but it's part of wanting our own manifesto, her own manifesto, for strong leadership during the next 5 years, which we hope to achieve from June the 8th.
So it is a chance to be out with the old and in with the new grammar schools, for example?
Well, she's already made her commitment on grammar schools. An exciting new announcement came out a few weeks ago, and we're building on that. So we will probably see that included in the manifesto. But I can't say how much detail will be in there at the moment, and I'm afraid we'll just have to wait and see what comes out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, a lot to be put together, I'm sure. But your brief is immigration, migration. You must have some idea of what will be in that manifesto when it comes to that. And when you think about the EU referendum, a lot of people went to the polls with immigration on their mind. And it has been a big Tory pledge to get migration down to the tens of thousands. You must have some idea of whether that's going to remain or not.
Well, I'm working on it at the moment. Of course, immigration is a key issue, and you're absolutely right. It was a key issue as part of the EU referendum. One thing is absolutely clear, is that we will be ending the current arrangement of freedom of movement. I hope to be consulting, if things go well in the general election, as planned later in the year with businesses about how to deliver an immigration system that works for businesses and for the economy as we leave the European Union. But there are lots of different parts that we have to pull together, and I hope that the manifesto will be able to reflect those. But more than that, I can't really say in terms of the numbers at the moment.
What about Brexit? Will we find out more about what Brexit will look like in that manifesto? Because obviously, if the Conservatives win, we're looking at the next 5 years during which those negotiations will take place. Will we get any more detail?
Well, we've had some of the detail on what the government's plan is for Brexit. We've had a Lancaster House speech, we've had the white paper from David Davis. The manifesto, yes, will address some of that. But the key element, I think, really, for the general election and for the Brexit negotiations is that if we get the strong mandate we hope to get on June the 8th, it will give the Prime Minister the opportunity to really negotiate with the European Union from a position of strength. In the same way that a chief executive wants support from shareholders, the Prime Minister wants to have support from the country and her MPs to go into the negotiation to get the best deal for the UK.
OK, Amber Rudd, Home Secretary, thank you very much for speaking to us here on Sky News.